Good morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about summer. Sweet, eh? Specifically what these students did last summer. But first, I want to ask you what you did last summer. Were you physically active, like Tommy Robertshaw? Man versus Wild? Or did you have a job like Adam Parker? Is Adam Parker here today? No? Adam worked in a deli in Yonkers. All right, he didn't really work in a deli in Yonkers, but he told me he did in public speaking, and I believed him. So when you see him, congratulate him on his job in Yonkers. No, seriously, some of you did have jobs. Some of you did physical camps, sports camps. And some of you, from what I gather, didn't actually do anything. I interviewed a bunch of kids and said, were you a slug this summer? And I was surprised how many kids actually said yes. In fact, Eric Mackin, are you here? If he's not, that's okay. Where are you? Sorry. So here's what Eric said. I hope I'm quoting you correctly, Eric. He said, yes, Mrs. Pfeiffer, I was a slug. In fact, I was the worst kind of slug. I was the kind of slug that has salt poured on it, so it becomes completely immobile. I've never poured salt on a slug, but I'd like to. The point is that each of us has a slightly unique summer experience, and these students standing up here were not slugs. In fact, they each did something really cool and artistic, and they're going to talk about it. And that was in part thanks to the Kilbourne Summer Arts Enrichment Program. John Kilbourne, who's here today, class of 1958, created this program in honor of his parents so that students could challenge themselves in structured arts programs of their own choosing. And now you're going to hear from them. We can talk a little bit more about the specifics of this program and how you apply for it after their stories. But first, let's hear from each one of them. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jake. I spent 2 weeks this summer at the Kenyon Review Young Writers Program. So we spent about 5.5 hours a day doing a lot of free writing and a lot of writing every day. At the end of the 2 weeks, we each published a piece in an anthology and did a reading. So there was a lot of cool stuff going on. I just thought I would read something I wrote. It's probably the best way to give some insight into what I was doing. So this was a response to a Bob Hickok poem called How Origami Was Invented. I wrote it about the 30s film star Frances Farmer, and it's called How Frances Farmer Was Invented. When writing you, your objections make me out to be an otherworldly thing of some foreign state of mind, and I think this makes all the difference. And I wonder how poor Frances Farmer you were invented, and how I feel mad for you 50 years dead. No, I could not have done it, because poverty and rejection looked to me something of a foreign story, and I could only read you. Still, the pages were drenched in all bodily fluids, which I'm not one to talk about, if you ask me. So I'll drive to Seattle and speak with the kids. I hope they love me, and the bands, I hope they love me, if only for a haircut. Maybe they'll know if you are me and I am you, if perhaps I am them and you are they. 50 years dead, we still drink together, alone in a together home. Though she was not made as I, and I am as drunk with her as she is with poison, all because of a mythical superfather, the kind we both abandoned. But you're in the flock again, happy, together in the flock again. I would not provide with my own two hands. So if anybody does any kind of art and has never been in any kind of artistic community, it's just a really affirming experience, and it's really awesome. And I would say anybody who's interested should really apply for the Kilbourne grant. It's awesome. Thank you to Mr. Kilbourne and the Kilbourne Grant Committee for helping me out this summer.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Carlin Nicolas, but I make most people call me Carland. A few people call me Carla, and if you're lucky, you can hear some people call me Carlande down the hallway. Quick shout out to Mrs. Pfeiffer, Quinn, and Johnny Mac. As Mrs. Pfeiffer said, the Kilbourne Grant is a grant for the arts, and that's exactly what I did this summer. Theater. I went to the New York Film Academy, which our talented Oliver Salk also went to. He went for film, I went for acting. It was a one-week summer intensive program, every day from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and it was in the heart of New York City, so it wasn't far from home. Now, I understand that not many of you are passionate thespians singing Les Mis to themselves in the hallway, but sports and theater aren't that different. You need connections with people, a theme, a team, and an actor's team is not only his own fellow actors, but the director and tech as well. Now, the first thing I learned when I went to the New York Film Academy was that acting for film is not like acting for a play. You learn the basics, monologues, improv, a thing called Meisner's technique, but then you also learn about the video aspect of it, how you can also take many different takes and many different shots from the video because it's always going to be edited later, or how different shots means you need different types of movement because in a close-up you're not going to do something as drastic as shaking your whole entire head when you could also do just one little movement that signifies one little emotion. Sorry. But by the end of the week, we had memorized a whole entire scene, which was then turned into a video that was filmed by one of the other students doing the program as well. It was a really great experience for me, and I encourage all of you to find a grant, even if it's not the Kilbourne Grant, so that you can do something really interesting that you love over the summer. I want to say thank you to Mrs. Pfeiffer for helping me find this program, and I also want to say a big thank you to Mr. Kilbourne for letting me have this opportunity.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Allie, and thanks to Mr. Kilbourne and the Kilbourne Grant Committee this summer, I attended a program called SOCAPA, which is the School of Creative and Performing Arts. There is photography, acting, film, music, and a dance program, and I went to the dance intensive for 2 weeks. We were in Burlington, Vermont, staying in the dorms at Champlain College. My teacher was named Angie, and she was a boxer and a professional hip-hop dancer from Manhattan. We would spend every day in the studio from 8 to 6, constantly working on new material. There we choreographed and learned 7 dances, which is a lot to do for 2 weeks. On top of that, we had the photographers take portraits and dance shots of us and made a professionally shot dance video. The first week was hip-hop, and while learning this dance, we had 2 days to do a student choreography of at least 2 minutes. We had the weekends off, and we went to the beach, farmer's market, and hiking. Then we got back on Monday, and we went straight into a 9-hour dance video shoot with a 2-hour tribal African dance workshop after. At the African workshops, we worked with the choreographer from Fela, which is a Broadway musical that takes place in Nigeria and has won many awards for its choreography. Next, we went straight into learning new, more contemporary dances and had 2 days again to create a student choreography, this time at least of 3 minutes. At the end of each week, there was a performance showcase where the actors performed monologues, the films were shown, photographers had a slideshow, and the dancers performed. Dancing for about 8 hours a day was exhausting, but at the same time fun. Not only did I meet a great group of dancer friends, but I also met people from all over the world. There were people from Vietnam, Panama, France, and Spain, and the floor that I was on became really close, and a lot of them actually had relatives or knew people that went to Taft. I loved going there because I expanded my interest in dance and got to take new classes and learn new styles. I feel like I have become better with my choreography, and I have met lots of new people that I have become great friends with. Because of my summer at SOCAPA and thanks to the Kilbourne Arts Grant, I have now packed my next summer with fun and interesting things to do that I have never tried before.
Hi. I'm Jillian Wiffler, and this past summer I attended Stage Door Manor, which is a performing arts program in the Catskills. With alumni like Zach Braff, Natalie Portman, Leah Michelle, and Robert Downey Jr., Stage Door Manor is known across the country as a prestigious summer theater intensive. Ranging from ages 10 to 18, the performers also range in experience, with some campers having performed on Broadway stages or in films, and others having never performed before. These performers are divided between 12 full-scale productions Stage Door puts up each 3-week session. Shows that we take months to assemble at Taft take 20 days of preparation at Stage Door. On top of those full-scale productions, campers are performing in various other dance shows, showcases, and cabarets throughout their time in the Catskills. I was chosen along with 20 of the 250 campers to perform in an extra show called Our Time Cabaret. This added an hour of classes onto my day. The usual daily routine at Stage Door consisted of 5 hours of rehearsal and 3 hours of various dance, acting, and voice classes, with meetings and outside and rehearsals in between. But those in Our Time Cabaret had 4 hours of classes. With campers from places like Belgium, Portugal, Greece, and numerous states, Stage Door is much like Taft in its diversity. My best friend from Stage Door lives in LA and attends a boarding school in London, while one of my roommates lives in Australia. As frustrating as it is not to be able to visit them as much as I'd like, I love getting to know people with such different lives, but with ultimately the same interests as me. People who also refer to athletic uniforms as costumes and sports practices as rehearsals. This past summer, I was lucky enough to attend Stage Door Manor for 3 weeks because of the Kilbourne grant. Without this grant, I would not have received the exceptional training that has prepared me for my future, hopefully in performing. Not only do I want to thank Mr. Kilbourne and Mrs. Pfeiffer for giving me this opportunity, but I would also like to suggest to you all to apply for the Kilbourne grant. You could have a summer as enriching in mine with the help from Mr. Kilbourne. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Korkmaz, junior from Turkey. Today, I would like to talk to you about the Kilbourne grant, which gave me an amazing opportunity to travel to London and attend a week-long street photography course at Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design. Central St. Martin's, home to many artists and designers like Alexander McQueen and Stella McCartney, is famous for short courses they offer ranging from drama to photojournalism. Having taken Photo 1 and 2 here at Taft, I wanted to explore more of street photography. The street photography course was open to photographers from all levels and ages. My classmates include a 40-year-old English teacher from York, a restaurant owner from London, and a 17-year-old girl from Belgium. The course was very rigorous and challenging. We were expected to spend time on the streets and take photographs on a daily basis. And I would like to thank Mr. Yen, since the skills that I gained at Taft proved to be very useful, and of course impressed my instructor, Tim Marshall, who worked as a photojournalist for the famous newspaper, The Guardian. His expertise and enthusiasm gave me a new perspective and encouraged me to explore street photography more. And as expected, this year at Taft, my focus in Photo 3 was street photography. During fall, I commuted to New York City almost every other weekend to shoot photographs, attend workshops, and visit galleries. That's how my short course influenced me as a photographer. However, my experience in London wasn't only about photography. I think being in London by myself really pushed me out of my comfort zone. Without knowing anyone in London, I traveled there only with the address of St. Martin's and the hostel that I'll be staying in. Although the idea of staying in a hostel made me a little nervous at first, it proved to be very fun. It was almost like a dorm for very interesting people from all ages. Not knowing anyone really pushed me to socialize and make new friends on the spot. I met many interesting people, like a journalist for the French famous newspaper Le Monde, a researcher from Texas, and a British movie producer, who were all staying in my hostel for the Olympics. Summer of 2012 was probably one of the best times to visit London as well. The streets were lively, full of tourists and locals, and there were so many special events going on for the Diamond Jubilee and the Olympics. I visited many museums like Tate Modern, V&A, and the British Museum, and saw many interesting exhibitions. During my time in London, I also watched a major production of Shakespeare's As You Like It, the final race of women's 400 meters track in the Olympic Park, and the cycling race in Knightsbridge. Besides the amazing photography course at St. Martin's, exploring London and English culture independently was a life-changing experience for me. I would really like to thank Mr. Kilbourne and the Kilbourne Grant Committee for giving me this opportunity. And I strongly encourage everyone to apply for the Kilbourne Grant and have an amazing experience and experience something new this summer. Thank you.
All right, those were pretty cool, weren't they? As you heard, these students found really different programs, and also, as you saw, this program, the Kilbourne program, is not limited to just one particular art form or one particular type of program. So I think you should all take advantage of it. We are going to do something slightly differently this year, which is that we're going to choose the top 4 applicants and give each one of them $1,000 towards their program. So this is what you need to do. You need to talk to your arts teacher, talk to me or anyone in the arts department about, especially if you have no idea how to start looking for programs. And then you need to do a little research, and then you need to go home for spring vacation and rest and be a slug, and then you need to come back and you need to write your proposal. I encourage you to take advantage of it. Summer's right around the corner, and I have one more thing to say, which is, in the words of Mrs. Clackett from Noises Off, take the plunge, you'll really enjoy it. Thank you.